Now, hi everybody, and welcome to the Laughter Yoga Australia August podcast. We've been going around our great nation and running into and meeting and learning some more things about some amazing people, and today is no exception to the rule. Back in the early days, when Dr. K was coming out and doing his national tours, there was one person in every state that would own that state and look after everything on behalf of Dr. K. And we had Jenny Goss in Western Australia. We had Philippa Chalice down here in Melbourne, and we had two other people. And in South Australia at the time, I think it was around about 2003, so over 20 years ago, there was a gentleman called Peter Salerno. And I got to know Peter very, very well. And then it wasn't long after knowing him, Peter said, "Oh, I'm moving out of the space and I'm going to do some other things." I think he may have been going overseas. He said, "However, I have a fella that can take over, and that fella is David Cronin." And I'm going, can't wait to meet him. And I've been meeting him on a regular basis for the last 20 something years. So our guest for August is David Cronin. David, thanks so much for coming along and having a chat to us.
Great pleasure to be here, Merv. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it was a long time ago that I found out about you and laughter yoga. So we always like to start with before laughter yoga. So who were you and what were you doing before you even found laughter yoga?
Okay, yeah, as a young man, I was a bit of a late bloomer, but I decided to become a clown, a theatre professional. And in those days, there was no training. Even before that, I'd headed off overseas to sort of find myself or to do a tour, really, just, the couple of years traveling. That ended up staying there and learning to be a clown in Europe.
Now I'm not going to let you get away with this so quickly. A young fella finding himself for 2 years. Let's go and explore that. That will intrigue me, and I haven't heard that story.
Oh, yeah, lots of people went away, for the grand tour. And look, I was in Sydney working for a couple of years, getting some money. We were going to buy a plot up north coast there with a group, as you did, a commune, and everyone else didn't. I was the only one who saved the money. They all fell off their motorbikes in those days. And um, yeah, so I said, what do I do with this money? I'll do the grand tour. I'll just go and see the world. Yeah, so I took off with no real plans other than, getting away. And because you're pretty naive in those days at 20 or something. And yeah, I ended up in Europe and wandering around various countries. I tried various arts, painting or dancing even. And when I was taking a break from Europe winter, I went to a kibbutz in a little place called Israel. And
Oh,
it was there that I had the sort of time. You only worked half a day and you had the afternoon, the weekends free. And I kind of thought, that's what I really want to do is theatre. I'd always loved clowning around, playing really, play acting and creating things and making costumes, just all that stuff as a kid. So I decided to do it really. I went to a school in Tel Aviv. I turned up and said, I want to join your theatre company, a theatre school it was. And he looked down his nose and said, "You are not a Jew." And I said, "No, no, but I want to do your theatre school." Um, he wasn't either. He was from Russia. So we communicated in German, which I'd picked up enough while I was there. And yeah, I started in that school and then I went to schools in Europe and finished in Italy, spent a year in Italy at a school in Rome. Long story short, I became a clown, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And worked in with partners usually based in Germany.
Wow. Like I said, I have not heard any of that story. That's fascinating. So, when we think about theatre, we think about Shakespeare and the like. So, where did the link between theatre and the training there and the clowning come together?
I call it theatre, but called physical theatre. It's just a
Ah,
subgenre of theatre, a niche called physical theatre, where you use your body rather more than your voice. Yeah.
Right.
to so clowning's a lot where you're not taught. I did do some theatre in theatre groups in Europe as well to yeah, travel with theatre groups there. But then I specialised more in clowning as it went along.
And
Yeah.
and what does it take to be a good clown?
Ah, improvisation, being very innocent, and being very aware of your own. Clowning's about showing, our human foibles and failings, really. So you've got to be self-aware and yeah, able to accept that. Yeah, we all fall down and get up again. That's what clowning's really all about. Yeah, we're all sort of aiming, shooting for the stars and falling flat on our face sometimes.
So, got a couple of perceptions of clowns, and that is the one at the circus, all right, where they come out and
Mm.
they do funny things and fall over, and they've got big floppy shoes and that sort of thing. My best recollection of anything clowning is clown doctors. Is that where you ultimately wanted to be, or was that just where you ended up in the hospitals doing clowning?
Oh, as soon as I heard that clown doctors, yeah, I'd done it about 10, 15 years general clowning, which is everything from children's parties right through to festivals and even adult shows. You do a whole range of things: music, magic, stilts, you name it, juggling, physical things, as well as verbal. You can throw in verbal comedy, so it's the whole gamut. But clown doctors came on the horizon the end of about 98 or not, the end. Started here in 2000. I put my hand up and luckily got in the first group.
Oh
We
wow!
started here in 2021.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I did that for 16 years very happily. And yeah, passed on the baton. And yeah, that's a fabulous way of obviously that healing, really focusing on the healing power of laughter. Yeah.
And I was in Malaysia just recently, and there was a gentleman talking about his work that he does with clowning, with sick children in particular. I think I just cried for the whole 90 minutes, listening to his stories of how he was helping these kids and sometimes couldn't help the kids. And I went up to him at the end of it all and I said, "Look, do you ever cry?" And he said, "All the time." He said, when I'm clowning, but then when I'm not, I'm human. And it made me think of the sad clown, that image of the sad clown. Um,
Oh, yeah.
I look at clowns and the amazing work they do of bringing joy to others and making other people laugh, as do comedians. And we get a whole lot of comedians say that they are severely depressed when they come off the stage because they're no longer performing and feeding off the group. Did you ever experience that yourself with the clowning?
Well, you've got that high thing, after a convention or any performance, you're very high up. Your energy, of course, you've got that high and low naturally with your body. So you've got to be aware of that. That's part of it. And of course, being very open, as I mentioned before with clowns, we're sensitive people, probably more sensitive artists. We are artists, remember. So we have to be sensitive to everything, the environment and what's going on and your own feelings. So yeah, I don't know if we're any more, but perhaps we're more aware of that and more prone to it because of, as I say, our business is going out there doing an hour maybe or a couple of hours, and then you might have a couple of days to wind down. Or some people have, between job depression sometimes if they're not that busy. Some actors perhaps. So there are the swings, highs and lows. Yeah, of course.
Do you ever think that would be or could be the case for laughter people, where we're going out and running laughter sessions and then we're not? I haven't heard a great prevalence of it, but could it be the case where people are experiencing those highs and lows and not maybe aware or sensitive to the fact that that could happen to them?
Yeah, that's certainly possible. Yeah, people may not be aware of it. That if you're doing a lot of it, I mean, doing an hour of it a day shouldn't be too too extreme in that sense because Yeah, it does give you a great high of, but I don't think it's the same thing as performing, in front of sometimes hundreds of people or a big group where you're the only person. Usually we do it in a group and it's more cooperative. Even though you might be the leader, I think it's usually a group of people or most of them. So that's a different thing. You as an entertainer, you come into a group of strangers all the time you've never met. You've got to take them from woe to go in an hour, and that's a big pressure. Yeah.
Did you have any particular tricks or particular go-to activities that you just knew were going to save you?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you've got to have all. Yeah, as a pro, I mean, how yeah, yeah, you don't go in there. Well, I mean, it took me a long time to learn all those little
Yep.
tricks and things, but you pick them up, you soak them up. Working especially in street in Europe or anywhere around you, you just watch other people too, and you steal from everyone, and they steal from you, and it's,
What was the biggest steal you ever did? What was the one thing that you picked up on and go, oh, that is.
oh God, there's so many. I can tell you what people have stolen from me, but that's
That's apparently one of the greatest forms of flattery when people
that is, yeah,
steal your
yeah, yeah,
stuff and replicate your stuff because it's
yeah.
so good.
Oh look, yeah. No, one of the best I love is some of the verbal. I love verbal humor like that, really, more than the physical, and things like oh God, no, I've got it down there. When people say, "Oh no, I got that from somewhere in America." I haven't got the source now. I should really when I
That's
tell you, but yeah, I just like when I tell people how your blood pressure goes down, and I say, well, why does it go down? And you say, well, your blood vessels, what do they do? They
dilate,
dilate.
dilate.
I'd rather dilate than die early.
I knew that was coming. I knew
Yeah,
that was coming. I remember
you've
you
heard it.
saying that. I remember you saying that. And I keep on thinking, oh, your blood vessels expand and what's that? What did David say? Oh, dilate. That's
Yeah,
right.
you've heard, yeah.
I recall that
I
because
gave you
I,
enough
I
time there.
could
Yeah,
I could remember
yeah,
that
yeah.
that
I,
humorous
I, I
thing.
haven't used it for a while, but yeah, that was from someone else. And when you pick them up, they're gold. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they
they
are
work.
indeed. Something else, David, you presented amazingly at one of our conferences. I think you've done it several times. And you talked about the importance of play, and certainly play is an important thing in a laughter session that I haven't done well in the past, but I'm working really hard on. What, in your words, is the essence of play, and how do we learn how to play better?
Well, I must mention Dr. Ken Robinson. He's the master, and he was around even 30 years ago when his TED talks are legendary. And yeah, I really looked into that when I started having kids, in the 90s. That was the reason, I guess, I looked because it was most important to me, to how to play with your own kids, sort of thing,
Hmm.
rather than the professional stuff, which I'd already learnt. Improvisation means being open to anything, and play is really taking any material, doesn't matter what, and just being open to other possibilities with it, not just what it's maybe presented for or what you must think it must do. So it means taking it in a new direction, maybe, or just being open to. So in one of the songs I've written, I say any thought we have is play. That means that we're actually connecting two things and coming up with something, one new thing. So that is a form of play, really, as an example. Yeah.
That's fascinating. Could you give me an example of that coming up with two things to create one new things? Do you have an example?
Well, yeah. I, I mean, a lot of our stuff. 80% or more is repetitive routine,
Okay.
That's really the new thoughts that are play. Okay, so you get one thing and you think, oh well, yeah, you might be just thinking about anything. Uh, on one side, it's basically because we've got two brains. They're always talking to each other, and we're learning more and more about this. We think of our brain, one brain, as two parts, but really, they're two brains talking to each other. And one's sort of saying, "Oh yeah, this would be great," but the other one says, "Yeah, but we better don't rush in." And so it's a bit like those, oh yeah, it'd be great, fantastic. You got to do this, yeah. You better plan this and get it right. So that's the left and right, as we know, but they're not. That's why we have two brains, to help us survive. Otherwise, we'd just go. Yeah, we wouldn't be around for long. So yeah, anything that we have a new idea. I mean, we don't act on all those new ideas, but they're coming up all the time in our head and thinking, oh, what if? Because one thing comes. It's a bit like a joke. You get two things together randomly and you think, oh yeah, what if someone, for example, two people, or one person, and you think maybe, oh, maybe they could do something from something that you've already you associated them with something that they haven't done before. For example, any thought really is a form of play. I mean, because it's just coming from somewhere where we don't really know. It's something that we create all the time.
What's fascinating about that is I did a gig yesterday for a group of integration aids for young kids who are very used to play. And I took along Annie Harvey's giggle game and
Yeah,
pick out a card. And I'd just say, right, this is this card. Now let's create a laughter exercise from that on the spot. And
yeah,
one of the cards that we pulled out was frog. So the left brain goes, yeah, I know what a frog is. It's green, it hops and all that sort of stuff. And then I said to them, I said, now you're not to act like a frog, you're to laugh like a frog. Now, frogs don't laugh. So all of a sudden, in that very simple construct, I think I mixed both sides of their brain there. And all of a sudden, they just went crazy and they started to play. They were like little children making
totally. Yeah,
up
yeah.
stuff. And I
Well,
had
they were little children, weren't they?
well, no, no,
Yeah.
these,
Oh, that's
these would be integration aids for them. So
right.
they would observe kids playing. And I just said to them, I said, we need to play more. And I'll never forget Dr. Rose Colston did her PhD and presented it at our Sydney conference once. And she said the barriers to adult play is work. So the more we work, the less we play. So my message is always, try and introduce some play into your work. So fascinating. I'm just fascinated by this whole
Yeah.
concept of play, and you just explained it
Mm,
beautifully there. We need to
mm.
move on to the laughter stuff. So not the laughter stuff, but the laughter yoga stuff. So when did that come into your life, David?
Yeah, 98.
Oh, wow.
Dr. Madan came to Adelaide, actually. It was the first place he visited, one of the few out of India. I think the first place, actually.
Oh,
He
wow.
was invited by a grant from an Adelaide businessman. And he did a workshop for the council, the Adelaide City Council, and one for generally. I went to the first one he did here in Adelaide. I was sold. And Peter Salerno and I started a laughter club straight away, pretty well outside the place of the workshop there. We said, let's just keep it going. Yeah.
What sold you? What hooked you in?
Oh, well, as you know, I was working as a clown and making people laugh. And I thought, shit, this is so much easier. We just invite them to, yeah, making people laugh is hard work,
I've heard that it is. And when I
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you ask any comedian, you you have to learn do a lot of work, and you have to die a lot, before you do. So you learn you earn your dues anyway. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty effective way to get it out in the community generally. Yeah, and invite as a social thing for people to do. Yeah, great way of connecting people, etc. And it's a very simple system that the doctors created. Works. You can take it out anywhere. Yeah. So
I think what I just learnt was that in 1998 you created the very first laughter club in Australia. So well done.
we believe it is. Yes,
I,
that's true.
I
Yeah.
did
Yep.
not know that. I did not. And 98 was at least 4 or 5 years ahead of my time. So that's fascinating.
And the most continuous one, literally. Yeah, I carried that on in various, well, usually out in a park. We went in what's called, we've got the parklands around Adelaide. We were in there first, which was kind of central. And then the linear park, which runs through, along well, it's a creek, not a river. But there in the mornings, at 7:30 and have a group there for years. So I've been doing it, yeah, with various groups since then.
So you've been running a laughter club in some format since 1998 until today?
Yeah, along with Peter Salerno, I mean, with kids, I did take breaks, yeah. So I won't say I was, but the
Mhm.
club's been going, yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, I've been teaching then since, Madan, as you know, came to Adelaide for some, and then I trained with him, and I've been able to train leaders here who have taken over the clubs now in Adelaide. So there's also Sharon, as you've already known, who's helping with the leadership, but I'm kind of still the coordinator, yeah.
So that's significant. Any other significant milestones or things that you did or learned along the way in regards to laughter yoga?
Yeah, we've only got 5 minutes left, mate. So, yeah, significant things. I look, it's just helping all the people, knowing how much it really works, and people turn their lives around. Often, we've had people who, on that linear park, for example, there was this guy, 91 years old. Bruce was a cocky out, on the land, and he came and stopped, and he said, I was laughing out there, and he said I got a tool, borrowed a tractor or something from the neighbours, and I took it back, and they said come and have lunch, and it's one of these ethnic, they have a long lunch, 3 or 4 hour
Yeah.
lunch, and of course lots of vino, and he went back after that. And he realised, all that tension in his gut from trying to work hard,
Mm.
he actually felt the difference from all that laughter and joy. It wasn't the vino, it was all that laughter and socialising, and maybe taking a break from the hard yakka he was doing every day. And he really realised the value of laughter there because, that kind of family thing and that laughter was so strong, yeah. So I remember that story he told me that, and that's why he stopped at our laughter club every day on his walk, only for 10 minutes, and did his laughter and carried on. He'd get on a motorbike still at 91, and roar off and with his friend in his sidecar, his girlfriend there. That was amazing. And Bruce, yeah, Barry, for example, he was a young man who rode his bike an hour across Adelaide to come to our laughter club in the park because he realised it was helping him with his mental issues. And after years and years, he found, he was getting better. He got to the stage where he got a job and he couldn't come to laughter club anymore. So, what the hell? There you go. Yeah, I mean, he couldn't get a job before, but he bloody got a job. And yeah, so many good stories where people actually came along. I mean, I say there's two things. People come, to nurture their own health, well-being, just to keep it. And the other side is where people come with an issue. They may have just lost someone or something, and or they may have, depression. God knows, I've had people who've come and within months they've seen a real difference in their issues. So that's just so heartening when that happens.
It is profound. And for yourself,
Yeah.
how has laughter yoga and laughter helped yourself, either at a personal level or at a creativity and business level?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty serious, introverted guy for a clown. Where it is. I take it very seriously, and laughter too, as we know. As the doctor says. So I know I need it myself to sort of. You get to stage when you learn, when you do clowning, you sort of see the best clowns in the world, and you think, and you got to. It's pretty hard to find something to make you laugh, literally. So because you've seen the best, and in the world, literally. So it's like, yeah, I still enjoy great comedians and things, of course, but they've got to be bloody good. Yeah.
In the 27 years that you've been doing laughter yoga now, I'm sure you've seen a lot of transformation, a lot of change. But my final question to you is what still has to change? If we are to create a laughter revolution, what is that one thing that's missing or that you can see on the horizon that will take the whole concept to what I call a laughter revolution, that final big step? What would it be?
Well, that's your term, revolution. I mean, whatever that means, Merv, I'm not sure because that means something drastic in my sense of the word. So, I, unfortunately, it's just one laugh at a time. I'm sorry to tell you. The world might fall over, or some catastrophes may occur, but all we can do is keep that smile. One laugh at a time. I say one person at a time laughing is huge. And I really feel that I've seen, a couple of, even this year, I've trained another leader and I've seen her go out, start another laughter club. Fantastic response. There's all that group happening. Same, we've got a couple of regional ones happening. And yeah, I was there last Saturday. She's just going gangbusters with this because there's a real need for it. People are reaching out, and those people go out and they spread the laughter too. I know that's how it works. It really is just getting out there, training the leaders, and getting a very solid system of networking and contacts. Yeah, that's like anything, it's about networking.
Beautiful.
Or, not in the business sense. Well,
No, no.
in every sense. Yeah.
In every sense, getting out there. I
Yeah.
presented at the Malaysian conference just a couple of weeks ago, and I gave them 10 ideas, and idea number 10 was get out there. That was
Yeah.
get out there, meet people. Do not wait to be found, and be famous in your office. It just won't happen. Get out there. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you agree with that. David, it's been insightful. Our time is nearly up, but it would be remiss of me not to ask you to do something creative now. I know you sing, I know you've got poems, I know you play things, I know you do clowning. I'm going to leave it totally up to yourself. Impress me. Do something creative because I know how creative you are.
Uh, yeah. Oh, look. Yeah, one of my favourite things is creating laughter, new ones, and we come up with them in the group. One in that first laughter club I did of my own at the linear park. A young man came in the morning brought a whole group before work actually of young people, and he said, "Let's do the shark laugh." I said, "Yeah, well, okay," and we've kept this one because it's so much fun, and you you do a whole thing like this where you go, and the Jaws theme
Yes.
goes da 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 da. Da. So we do ha 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 ha, and in a circle you're coming in, slowly coming in like this. So this tension builds up, and of course in the middle you have a laughter frenzy. So you come in, and you go ha 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 ha. And of course that turns into a pretty dirty laugh.
Uh, that is
Yeah, so
that
that's
is
amazing. People come up with new laughs, and I love creating them. I'm putting together a collection at the moment, so
of
look
course.
out for that. And of course, I've got my manual here, all
Yes,
about laughter. Yeah,
yes, breathe, play, laugh. I have a copy of that on my
yeah,
shelf.
that's
It,
that.
it is
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
No,
Everything.
you were so generous enough to do the forward. Thank you, sir.
I did, and I was genuinely impressed. I'm impressed by everything that you do. David, you've been doing it for 27 years. May you do it for another 27 years. That is my hope for you. Thanks so much for everything that you've done and certainly for being in our August podcast for this month. Thanks so much, David.
Lovely, Jim. All the best, mate. Cheers. See ya.